Oh, what's up, everybody? Jensen Cummings here. Thank you, as always, for tuning in. Today's Best Served Podcast 348. We're talking collaboration over competition in hospitality. We got Cha McCoy, we got Justin Arnett Graham, L. Jarvis will be joining us. Anybody who follows Best Served whatsoever, anybody who's heard me rant about collaboration, it is fundamental to what we do. And I think it is a huge mindset shift for us that I've had to adopt, being somebody who grew up in the industry, who got so used to getting my head kicked in, that we are always in survival mode. We're always in this scarcity mindset. We're only as good as our next plate. We're only as good as the next table turn. And that puts us in this place where we're always thinking finite, and we need to expand. We need that abundance mindset. We need that invest and growth mindset. We need that infinite mindset, that there aren't just a finite amount of resources, of guests, that we can collaborate and still have that be a good business decision. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. I want to bring L. Jarvis in to talk with us. Good to see you, L. To keep this conversation going, right? Menu meeting. Let's get ready for the next service that we're walking into. This campaign has been all about thought leaders, movers and shakers, change agents. How do we evolve in hospitality? And collaboration, it's something that we struggle with. And so I want you to break it down for us a little bit. Collaboration, what does it mean for the industry at large, and why for In the Weeds is this an important topic?
Absolutely. So we at In the Weeds truly believe in collaboration over competition. We launched a year ago. We got our 501c3 status in October of 2020, and our mission is to champion the physical, financial, and mental health of the hospitality professional. So we had all these ideas and we know what we need to do, but we very quickly realized that we couldn't do it alone.
Yes.
And as we started identifying other partners across the country that were in different lanes that we knew we could amplify power in numbers, we started to realize that there were other really awesome organizations and projects that people were working on that would benefit from being attached to a 501c3 nonprofit. So we started fiscally sponsoring what we call quote unquote Halo orgs. And we have 5 of them right now within our network that we're constantly chatting and texting and, putting systems in place. I had a really awesome call a year in with the folks from the Chad Project this afternoon, explaining to them the difference between being a 1099 and a W-2, because 9 months into our partnership, we've secured enough funding to start paying their people.
Amazing.
And, they wouldn't necessarily have the resources or the capacity to incorporate on their own, being so decentralized and volunteer and new, but certainly wouldn't be able to navigate, volunteer doing payroll. So being able to act as that sort of halo to support all these other projects so they can just focus on doing the work.
Yeah, and quick shout out the projects that you have in the work, the Halo orgs, the initiatives that you're part of.
The Chad Project, which is based in Chicago. We have Lip Service, Cha's project, which you'll hear more about. We fiscally sponsored Summer Tour this past summer, which was a collaboration between Justin, Jennifer from Alt Economy, and Simone from Wild Child Eats, and Justin's with Bico. He'll introduce himself shortly. And that was just a really organic, again, fostering good people. Yeah. As soon as I was double vaxxed 2 weeks out, I hopped on a plane. I went to Chicago. I went to a pop-up in one of the Chad members' apartments, and Jennifer Kim was cooking. And I don't know if it was like the group of people that I was with, or I was just like a little bit maybe stoned, or the thing was just so well orchestrated.
All the things. It was all those things. Yeah.
I dined with strangers, and it was the most epic meal I think I've ever experienced. And I ate it, at somebody's picnic table in their backyard, and there was performance, and it just was like powerful. And at the end of the meal, I went back and I said, "Hey chef, come to Aspen with us. We're doing a party in Aspen. You have to come." And then a couple weeks later, were looking for a fiscal sponsor for their summer tour, that's just the way that it's going to work from here on out. It's just trusting who's in your orbit and having those conversations. And I'll let Justin talk about Summer Tour a lot more, but I was just so impressed with, they were able to get the entire series fully sponsored. So everything that they raised were redistributed to chefs for food and labor costs and mutual aid. And
Imagine that. Imagine supporting the people that need the support, and especially the hospitality industry does so much to bring attention and put butts in seats and put dollars in the coffers of so many great causes. And the reality is some of us are more nonprofits than the nonprofits that we're supporting. So I appreciate that there's this kind of balanced approach. Let's bring Justin in. I want to bring Justin in because I want to hear a little bit more about this. What's Beco? I love that that's your handle, because when you're in the content game in hospitality, it's different. We're so used to making things with our hands and right. cooking and having that face to face, but we're in the content and storytelling medium and communication. So I love that about what you're doing. Tell us about Beco, and then let's get into Summer Tour a little bit, because Elle's got me all hyped up about it.
Perfect. Well, hi, hello. So I'm the creative director and owner of Beco, and so we do specialize in blending the art and media industries with the hospitality platform. And like I always say, it's as unique and integrative as the project scope itself, right? So at our core, we are storytellers, and we try to build platforms to let people amplify their stories and their realities. And oddly enough, with Summer Tour, we run a podcast called Terms of Service, Real Industry, Real Talk, No Bullshit. And yes. Our co-host is Nariba Shepherd. And it's because of Nariba that I was connected to Jennifer Kim. And that was a very, as Elle had touched upon earlier, it was just a very organic and easy conversation. And it wasn't in regards to, what we can achieve from one another, but like more so like resource sharing, because the way that she talked about alternative economies and the new hospitality movement, I was just like, that falls directly in line with what we're trying to showcase and what we're trying to make brands understand. Like the status quo of what it has been is incorrect, and we're trying to do what we can to pave like a more equitable way forward. So, and then naturally, Jennifer Kim has a relationship with Simone Freeman of Wild Child Eats. And then that was just an even greater conversation. And yeah, we're just like, let's do this together. And they have been wonderful. And
that's great. It feels like we're all part of like a Marvel Cinematic Universe team up, where it's just like we're all kind of have these superpowers, and being entrepreneurs, being in the hospitality industry, we often get kind of siloed and tunnel visioned in kind of our own thing. And to be able to like open up and see who else is out there, ask for that help, ask for that support, be able to have something, a clear Absolutely. Exchange of value and beliefs, I think is so important. So let's keep that going. I want to bring in the one and only Cha McCoy, who, if I listed all of the things, Cha, that you're doing and working on and collaborating on, we'd be here all day. Lip service specifically is something I'm so excited about. When I heard this idea, it's like, yes, where the hell was this when we were coming up in the industry? Over the last 20 years, this makes so much sense to me. So break it down for us a little bit. Lip service, what's going on there as a Halo org part of In the Weeds? What are you up to?
Yes, so thanks for having me on, and I think it's even cooler to hear the other stories of how In the Weeds spread, because everyone has such a diverse. Oh, you like that? That was
yeah. I like the puns. We like the puns on this show. Let's go
all day long.
All day.
So I think that the cool part here is how to help. There's no right answer. We all go about it in different ways. If you're driven from arts, if you're driven from, in my case, language, with work, being as an immigrant, working in Portugal, I think living in America, the word immigrant means a completely different, understanding, especially when looking the way I look as a Black woman with locks, working as a sommelier. So I know what it feels like just to be in America and be American and feel like immigrant treatment, in this space with this title.
Yeah,
and then also how to work on the global scale from my time working at a Michelin star restaurant as a sommelier in Lisbon, Portugal. And so lip service also birthed last year during the pandemic, as we were doing a lot of like, how can we help this? I think it's a lot of inward work that we looked at. And so you're like, how can I help? I recognize this from my perspective. And so I love that what you said about, where was this? Because I feel like that was the resounding applaud and text messages and DMs I got from people who heard what I was trying to champion people around, making communication less as a barrier, as a way for us to connect across cultures in the hospitality industry. We can't just be excited when people are crossing the borders and washing your dishes, but you're not going to be excited about uplifting them out of dishwashing to one day be the janitor.
Absolutely.
And so they may have started not knowing English, but they should not be there 10 years later still washing dishes, not learning English. So I feel like that also gives you that just gives you that one simple example, gives you the way that we as Americans or other large Western countries have been able to hold people back due to language. And so that's where I became ignited with the idea of like, okay, I'm coming from a place of privilege. It may not seem that way as a Black woman, but coming into a country where I have that blue passport book that says American in front, so I can walk in and actually, be the psalm. But I can tell that they were not going to let me do anything. Like I was going to have as much control ever. Because I didn't speak Portuguese, and they didn't really care. They just like, okay, well, you don't speak Portuguese. You're limited to talking to guests who are foreigners who come in, who obviously speaks to us first in English. And yeah, so that's going to be your role. And I think it was kind of on me to have to start taking Portuguese. No one like tried to make me feel comfortable there, not knowing the language. And so I realized this was going to hold me back, just like people who come into my own country who have to you hear these crazy stories. People learn English from watching Days of Our Lives.
Oh yeah, I hear MTV all the time.
What? And I'm like, this is not like for me. I don't do this, but I really feel like there's got to be this is a way that we can champion each other, because we actually end up learning from each other and being more culturally connected. If I did end up learning how to speak Spanish from that dishwasher, and vice versa, with me doing this exchange with them, teaching them English. So then that can actually happen for free within the nucleus of the hotel, bar, whatever hospitality industry so easily. We don't even have to send people out to programs, but yet it's not really happening internally. So that was a long way to get everybody on board with what Lip Service mission is driven behind. But ideally, I was raising funds, and I guess my beta project, I'm going to say, was this past year. I had a small group of 10 women in total, 4 different languages: German, Italian, Spanish, and French as the key languages. Most women were either chef or food related, or in the wine industry. But we had applicants that applied who were cheesemongers. Also, we had somebody that was a flight attendant. We also, so throughout the travel industry as well. And so I love the idea of broadening, taking full use of hospitality at all levels, not just the restaurant, as ways to make change happen as it relates to English integration, as well as people who speak English learning a second language for mobility.
When I hear something like this, I'm both inspired and kind of fucking pissed off. Yeah. I'm kind of upset by the fact that I mentioned it and you reiterated it. What have we been doing with this industry that is built on story, that is built on communication, that is built on our ability to connect with people around the table? Yes. And there's a couple of mindset. I'm going to stay with mindset because it feels like that's where this catalyst needs to be. Is you mentioned the lack of upward mobility. That is so systemic in the fact that, I got in the industry when I was 17, and it's always like we never grow up from that. And we build business models around, well, we just have a bunch of transient kids that live with their parents, and we can, abuse them and not pay them that much, and they're on their parents' insurance and all this kind of stuff. When do we become that true professional that needs the support of the physical, financial, and mental health, that needs to be able to level themselves up to learn English at a level so that they can be a sommelier at a restaurant, that can learn Portuguese, can learn French, to be able to get themselves into a personal and professional position to thrive and not just barely survive and wear this badge of honor like we can hack it so we are somebody worth merit. And the reality is That is completely opposite, completely backwards from the way that we actually uplift individuals and communities and businesses. Now where there's a reckoning happening, we're realizing if you don't invest in your most valuable asset, your people, you will fail
Right.
categorically. And that is being exposed right now. So I'm inspired and I'm upset that I was a cog for the last 20 years in this bullshit. Like what are we doing here? So I appreciate that. I don't even know where to go from here. Elle, I'm going to kick it to you. I'm too fired up. What do we need to know about the way that Summer Tour, the way that Cha and Lip Service, how can we get more Halo orgs involved? How can we support more good people connecting good people doing this type of work? What do we need to know?
100% funding.
Money. We need some money, people. Let's go.
We need unrestricted funding to be able to continue to do this work. And we as In the Weeds, we're all volunteer board. We just hired our first, full bookkeeper to be able to support all of the money coming and going and flowing. But the reality is to have, unrestricted funds, which are tax deductible donations, to be able to pay the people to run the programs. Like that's how, we have really amazing, passionate, super talented people involved in the Weeds right now. And their labor should not go unpaid. Just because this is nonprofit work, it doesn't mean that it disqualifies the intelligence of the people that are putting these programs together that are completely necessary. And we talked about this a little bit with Jasmine and how proud I was to hear that her side hustle became her main hustle. These passion projects shouldn't be considered as side hustles. They should be part of the greater entrepreneurial block of this is our party for our purpose. This is the work that I do to do this. But the work is hard. It's emotionally taxing and sometimes it's physically taxing to sort of find that time. But we're like on hold with bringing on Halo orgs through the end of the year, but it is OND for everybody in this industry, October, November, December. So everybody's just kind of pulled in a million different directions. But reach out, shoot us an email at holler@intheweeds.us. We'll have a couple conversations and see what we can't cook up in the new year.
All right. So there's something interesting. Both Justin and Elle mentioned the word amplify, and our mission statements are best served is to amplify the worth and work of those who feed their community. And that's all of us. That's everybody at every level. It is the flight attendant. It is the farmer. It is the school garden leader in Tampa, Florida, who's just trying to inspire our kids to eat better, to change a generational habit of not investing in ourselves and the food that we eat, all of that. And Halo org stuff, 86 challenge that we're doing is also sponsored by In the Weeds. And that means that Elle's bookkeeper is writing 86 checks to individuals for $86 to say your story matters. We care about it. We'll publish it. I don't care if you're a dishwasher in Kansas City or a server in Boston. Your story matters, and it needs to be a part of the culinary narrative. Now, for Justin and Cha, the work that you all do, trying to uplift communities, it's hard to get money. I have to beat people over the head, say this is the most valuable investment that you can make, to invest in the actual people who interact with your product, your service, that are a part of the lifeblood of this industry. Yet the harder part is the worth. The amount of time I have to spend telling somebody, no, I'm serious. Your story matters. And I'm figuring out a way, and my whole team is working so unbelievably hard to pay you for that story, to bring your story to life. And they don't believe me. And they find every excuse under the book. I'm just a cook. Nobody cares. Nobody wants to hear what I have to say. I do. I know everybody here does, and so many others do. So I'm very interested. And maybe Cha, Dustin, you can take one side. Cha, for the people, how do we get people in our industry to truly believe that they're of value, that they have worth, and that they should be given the opportunity to learn a new language or anything that allows them to have that upward trajectory? And then Justin, maybe on the getting people to invest side of that, I'm very interested in that. Cha, for you, how do we get our people to know that they matter? Like, we want to help you manifest. Hard.
I mean, I think it's twofold. I think even if you took language out of that question, it's still equally hard, I feel like. And so this has been very difficult for me to convince people in this industry and I didn't mention earlier, it was the application were for BIPOC community who were looking for this help. And so I realized that people were just not willing to do the work when it comes to like language. Like it's impossible. I don't know what else to say. I feel like I'm up, crawling up a mountain that, I'm trying to get believers into this. And I know what a lot of me and my peers are doing, trying to keep our brains refreshed, especially in the wine industry, as we're trying to pronounce producers and regions, et cetera. So I'm trying to give people a heads up, like, hey, instead of you trying to like, I don't know, spend all your money to go take the next quarter of the master's exam, how about you learn a language, which will actually probably get you in the door faster. But they got to believe me, in that, that I'm in a position where I can see if I knew French, Portuguese, or Italian, or Spanish for that matter, and then was able to walk into a winery and able to speak fluently, I can convince way more people to pay me to do something. Like, and the same thing for a restaurant too. They probably will ask me, do I have the pins and the certification? But the moment I go, I'll get to it and say it in their language, they're probably like, okay, we'll worry about that later, or we'll help you get the certification and keep going. But instead, it seemed like more people were so focused on what is more easier to attain and what's Instagrammable, I guess. That's just what we in. So it's easier for me to put something on Instagram like, ooh, just got that new pen, just passed my test, or getting people all caught into that idea. And I'm thinking about this from a wine perspective. So excuse me for not, being able.
We feel you. We can translate it into food, into beverage, all of it.
Same idea, So before for a chef, instead of spending all your money to go move to France and work and study under Le Cordon Bleu, like if you actually stayed home and learned French and then actually got your job leading at a maybe high-end French restaurant in your neighborhood, in your city, I think that you can get there probably faster with language. And I was trying to tell people that from my own experience that I know this is true. There's a cultural connection that is missed here. And so back to your question, which is like, it is hard to get people just to do the work that's not going to give them immediate gratification. You're not going to learn French and master it in 6 months, 6 weeks, 6 days. I mean, maybe in 6 years, you may still be struggling over a few concepts. So I'm really selling something that seems like, unfortunately, unattainable for them themselves feel like they should put that energy back into themselves. So
it's completely foreign. Like it's not only a foreign language, the concept is foreign. And one thing that you touched on is going to that and working at that high-end restaurant. We've been so conditioned to resume build. The resume doesn't matter at all anymore. Like the gatekeepers have completely shifted. And you having a name of a restaurant on a resume is not as valuable as you having the skill and ability to communicate at a higher level. Communication is the whole 100%. Game that we're in. For sure. And now knowing another language allows you to communicate at a higher level. And so that is an important investment that it completely gets skipped over. And you mentioned it. We are so instant gratification, the most instant gratification, which is why we're good at being reactive to the guest in the moment. We stay in the moment because we don't want to think past the next plate, right? It means that we're good tacticians in the moment. We struggle big thinking, long-term strategy, those kind of things. And so we leave it all on the field, so to speak, and there's nothing left for ourselves. And so, it's hard for us to think about, can I spend the next year learning a language? What does that mean for my professional trajectory for the next 10 years? It's too abstract for us. So that part, Cha, I'm with you. You and I are going to talk more about this because unlocking the mindset shift of investing in yourself and businesses in the industry at large, investing in people, that's it. If we figure out that secret sauce, right? That's it.
If you actually invested and took the time to learn Spanish, which some owners responded to me and said, you know what? When I read the article and when I heard what you said, I have my whole team in New Mexico, someone said, is all speak Spanish, but I can't, like they speak English to me, but they speak Spanish to each other. But I'm going to now take the time and actually learn Spanish so I can talk to them. So I feel like being in this community, also, even if you're a person of privilege who has the money and who are doing the hiring, you learning the language to be a part of their culture and making that investment on that level. So I feel like that also meant that I struck a chord, and people really were reactive in a way where, hey, this sound costs them nothing. I can just learn Spanish instead of forcing them to speak to me in English. So
yes, I like it. Language. What a way to break through communication barriers and all the barriers that we've been talking about. If we can find ways to break through them, that is a huge opportunity, huge unlock. For you, Justin, Elle mentioned it. You got the whole summer tour funded. Congratulations. We're all going to need to figure out how the hell you did that, because who's ever gotten a project fully funded in any way, shape, or form? That's totally unbelievable. So what is it? How do we start communicating and pulling on those purse strings? Understand what's the unlock on that side of the equation, as obviously that side is incredibly challenging as well. Elle mentioned it. We need more money to make these things happen. These will be the future of this industry. We just have to shift some of the way that we invest. So give us some thoughts there. How do we unlock the financial side of this equation a little bit?
No, absolutely. And so just a big thing that I'm always talking about is ecosystem building. And that has proven quite successful on our end. And the reason why I focus on ecosystem building is because the pitch doesn't always connect with everyone. So therefore, you have to be able to create an overall ecosystem for people to find themselves within. And that is what they want to fund. And that play has, I mean, it's been activated on both sides, obviously, because it's anchored in community, but it's funded by intention. And that has been like my secret sauce, if you will. So, yes.
Everybody's teams are taking notes right now. They're like, ecosystem. How do I build an ecosystem that allows people to find, like, to pitch themselves within the ecosystem that you've built? I think is key. Collaboration. Talk about that.
That's
You need what we call cool uncle. That's like my job a lot. How can you be cool uncle? Because your parents keep telling you to do this thing. It's good for you. No. Cool uncle tells you, like, best idea I've ever heard. And so I think creating an ecosystem where it's not a linear single point-to-point interaction and transaction, there has to be depth and intention, I think, is a great way to go about that. Executing that, though, we don't have enough time in 10 shows to figure that out. So I appreciate your
as I mentioned, of course, and as I mentioned earlier, that it's a lot about, just really anchoring it back in community. With summer tours specifically, we did our kickoff with our friends at Blind Barber, but the reason why we have such a sufficient relationship with them is not only here locally, but nationally, is because they believe in the depth of our portfolio. And that is what we use to amplify our work with the community. And I could go on and on.
Yes, and we will. There will be a lot more from this crew, I guarantee, as we move forward. So, Justin, best place for people to connect with you. I'm interested. I want what the hell is Summer Tour? I want to know more. I want it in my town. I want to be a part of it in Chicago next year. Best way to connect. What do we need to know before we let you go?
Got it. So on Instagram, it's What's Beco, so WHATSBECO. And then also you can connect with us directly through our website at beco.work, WORK. So yeah.
Okay, reach out, find out what the hell Beco is, what's Beco, and that secret sauce of building an ecosystem. Justin is the one to figure that out, and looking forward to seeing what comes next from Summer Tour, because barely scratched the surface. That's pretty clear. A lot of great things to come. So Justin Arnett Graham from Beco, based out in Chicago, we're going to let you go. Appreciate your time and appreciate the work that you're doing.
Of course. Thank you so very much. Bye.
Bye.
Take care. All right, Cha, same for you. Heard about Lip Service. I'm interested. When do applications reopen? How do I get involved with Lip Service? And then real quick, just what else are you working on just in the next, 2 weeks? Because if we expand it past that, you're doing too many things. Lip Service, I want to get involved. I want the opportunity to help fund. I want the opportunity to learn a new language. How do I do that? And then quickly, where can we connect with you on whatever you're working on next?
Yes. So everything Cha McCoy related, you can definitely find on my IG, which is cha_squared, or on my website, chamccoy.com. And there's a section there for Lip Service and all the other projects too there. Lip Service has its own Instagram, but it's currently on hold. But we are opening for new applications for 2022 in January.
Nice.
So it actually tied up where people like starting a new year, like, I'm gonna go to the gym or I'm gonna learn a new language.
Right.
So it's kind of cool that now I know every January it's like, okay, let's bring some new people in who are excited about learning new
I mean, New Year's resolutions are a real thing. Let's see if they can
yeah.
keep it going longer than they traditionally keep the gym going into the new year.
Yes. So it will be January of 2022
Okay.
for the new cohort application to open up. And for Cha McCoy, in the world of Cha McCoy, right now, the next 2 weeks, well, let's just say the next 2 weeks, you should at least see the Communion, which is my wine dinner pop-up series, the new dates coming out. So stay tuned to that for the week of the 21st or so. There'll be a release of where the next location is for the Communion. So
and we can expect maybe some caviar up in there for those as well, right?
A little caviar moments, things like that. But right now we're focused on making sure that you have placements for your pairings. So making sure everyone feel a little bit of love. And so I'm excited to bring the Communion to a new city.
And then a shout out to Charleston Food and Wine coming up soon. Elle and I, good friends with Mike Latta and Jason Stamhope with FIG and everything that festival represents. I know you are knee deep in that as well. So excited for you.
Excited.
And also, if they want to donate to Lip Service on Cha's website, there is a link to our white label crowdfunding platform that you can accept donations for.
Nice. Elle, way to connect those dots. I love it. Cha, we'll let you get back to it. Thank you so much for being on. Thank you so much for the leadership that you're showing for this industry. And we'll keep working on that worth part together, because that unlock, that's key for us. So I appreciate the clawing up that mountain like you talked about. It's a struggle, it's real, and I appreciate it because it's necessary. We need it.
All right, so appreciate your support. Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you, Cha.
Whew. Good episode. I got like heated. This is so impassioning for me personally, for you, I know, for everybody that we get involved with. Like, collaboration over competition is one of those fundamental things that's like, we have to. It's the only way that we're going to be able to do anything into the future is if we start to collaborate at a fundamental and meaningful way. So last thoughts for this great episode, and I'm excited for summer tour. I'm excited for Communion, Charleston, Lip Service. So many great things happening.
There's so many great things happening. And yeah, I think the collaboration over competition is not a new idea by any means, but I think this industry has been so polarizing for some folks that having it being recently adopted, and then think about the people that we've had conversations with over the last 3 weeks, these 30-minute conversations. I walk away from them and I have like goosebumps, and I have to like go sit and stare at the ocean for 20 minutes to process like what just happened, to unpack and also unlearn a lot of what we've been conditioned in the industry. So I loved your question to Cha. How do you convince people that they're worth investing in when we are unlearning and convincing ourselves that we are worth investing in and doing having these conversations and being able to share our thoughts with one another in this capacity. So that was another great episode. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely love it. Elle Jarvis of In the Weeds, and obviously this In the Weeds menu meeting fall 2021 campaign. You've seen us all over, omnipresence, the video casts, articles, clubhouses, Instagram takeovers. It's just been about communicating in all the ways, in all the places that we need to be represented, and we need more voices in this culinary narrative. That's Elle's mission. That's our mission at Best Served. So could not be more honored to be a part of this. Elle, we'll let you go stare at the beach for a while, right?
Yeah,
stare at the ocean.
The ocean. Have a good one.
Yeah. All right, everyone, that is it for this episode. Collaboration over competition. I'm such a broken record. You hear things from that all the time from me. Amplify the worth and work of those who feed their community. We have to build something that's equitable, profitable, and sustainable. We were hitting all of the greatest hits today. And so it's really also like it's hard, the work that we're doing trying to shift this industry as a whole, to hear from other leaders that I have so much respect for, that they're running into the same issues, that they're inspired by the same things, for the work that we do at Best Served. It means a lot. So I'm grateful to hear these things coming out of these leaders' mouths, because it matters and it allows us the opportunity to continue to go forward, even when it gets hard sometimes, and it always gets hard sometimes. So appreciate you all once again. Best Served Podcast 348, collaboration over competition in hospitality, with Cha McCoy, Justin Arnett Graham, and Elle Jarvis. That is it. I appreciate all of you. I hope that all of you know and truly believe me when I say this: your worth and your work matter, and we are here to amplify it. You can count on us for that. Cheers.